Good morning. The August 17th, 2021 meeting of the Charter Authorizing Panel is called to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Department of Education auditorium and ask that you please silence all electronic devices and ask that our colleagues and friends that are joining via Zoom, if you will make sure that you have muted your mic, then we will certainly begin. Point of privilege, let me start by saying that we do have two resignations of our Charter Authorizing Panel. Ms. Emmeline Pilkington has resigned, and we do appreciate her brief service on the panel. And then we recently received the resignation from Ms. Toyce Newton. And as you know, Ms. Newton has been a long-serving member, not only at the State Board, but at the Charter Panel, and she certainly will be missed, and we do appreciate her service as well. So I wanted to let you know that up front. We do have our quorum established today, so we have several items on our agenda, and without further ado, we'll get right into our consent agenda. Panel, if you will check the minutes from our July 20th meeting, and if there's any discussion or corrections. Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
So I have a motion by Ms. Saraceni and a second by Dr. Williams to approve the July 20th, 2021 minutes for the Charter Authorizing Panel. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion has passed. So let's start in on our action agenda. And Mr. Johnston, our first items are for the expedited digital learning plan process. So if you will present those, please.
Yes, ma'am. And I have notified all of the districts that we have a special state board meeting on Thursday.
Yes.
So these will all be revisited on Thursday. First is the Academies of West Memphis Charter High School submitted a digital learning program amendment for grades 10 through 12. The school will offer synchronous instruction virtually using an LMS and CMS platforms with licensed district staff. Their charter expires June of 2024. And on Zoom, we have Gary Jackson, Principals of Academies of West Memphis, Susan Wagner, Assistant Principal of Academies of West Memphis, and John Collins, Superintendent.
And this plan has been through the entire DESE digital review team.
Yes, it has.
So any questions from panel members? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to approve.
Second.
So I have a motion by Ms. Wright McMurray and a second by Mr. Baldwin to approve the digital learning program for Academies of West Memphis. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations, Mr. Collins. And as you said, Tim, we will take this to the State Board on Thursday for review or not review, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Collins, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Just thank you to the panel for hearing us. I'm experiencing some technical difficulties this morning, so I hope I'm not dragging too much, but we appreciate the opportunity to clean up a little bit of language in there from our district plan as it pertains specifically to our high school charter, and we look forward to a good school year.
Thank you. We appreciate you so much. Item B.
A consideration of a charter amendment for digital learning programs, Southside Charter High School and Southside Junior High from the Southside School District. They submitted the charter amendment for digital learning program. The high school charter and junior high school, both schools offer virtual instruction in an asynchronous and synchronous format through an approved LMS provider. Both charters expire in June of 2025. This has gone through the full DESE review process. And Novella Humphrey is on the Zoom if any of the panel have questions?
Panel members, any questions? Online?
Yes, just a question. This is for ADE staff. What's our timeline? Are we going? Is it 3 years for their up for renewal? Would this take us outside of that 3-year period?
It's either 3 years, what you've been voting on is either 3 years or until the charter expires, whichever is first.
Okay, and this one, it will be expiring in 2025?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so do we need to do the 3-year on this one, or is 2025 okay?
So, Ms. Humphrey, do you want to speak to your experience with digital learning at this charter?
Thank you, Ms. Kaufman. I'm Novella Humphrey. I'm the Director of Curriculum and Federal Programs here at Southside. We have used a virtual learning environment last year with students. Using our own in-house teachers, we'll change over to using only Virtual Arkansas as our virtual provider this year. We've had experience with them in our Southside Charter High School over 7 years in our charter. It's not a new integration of virtual learning. It'll just allow students that need to step away from campus to learn to have that option to take virtual learning into their home environment with them. We currently have 15 students enrolled in that program in grades 7 through 12 out of approximately 900 students.
So,
Okay.
Dr. Williams, back to your question. We have allowed, I believe, one charter an extended amount of time because they did have a history with providing a digital learning option. So it's up to the panel to decide if we want to request the charter change to 3 years or to go ahead and allow the 4.
I will follow up with just a question. What would be AD's recommendation on that? What I'm wondering is that we've only done it once before, and several others we pushed them back to 3 years. I'm just trying to determine, did we have a good, clear rationale? Is it just the experience in offering digital learning? And if so, are we comfortable with the with Southside's experience? I guess what I ask is, for me, the tipping point would be, were they offering the digital learning before the COVID year? Last year was kind of an anomaly for all the districts.
So typically, the state board has recommended 3 years consistently, and they have been approving plans that were at 3 years. Ms. Humphrey, do you want to address, are you willing to move to request 3 years?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Kaufman, we are content with 3 years.
Any other questions or discussion? So we have a Southside Charter High School and Junior High for 3 years. I'll accept a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I second it. Good.
I have a motion by Mr. Baldwin, a second by Ms. Saraceni, to approve the digital learning program for Southside Charter High School and Southside Junior High for 3 years. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Humphrey.
Thank you, Ms. Kaufman. Thank you, Charter Authorizing Panel.
Mr. Johnson, C.
Yes, ma'am. Next is Founders Classical Academy of Bentonville, which is a K through 6. Founders Classical Academy submitted their digital learning plan. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why I did not complete the statement on the agenda. I understand why they submitted a plan. I don't know how that happened, but somehow I did not leave, somehow the description got left off the agenda. But they have gone through the full the full DESE approval process or review process, and I will look to tell you their expiration date.
Okay. And they do have a 712 digital learning plan that has already been approved, and they came back with a K6 plan that has been through the complete review process.
Madam Chair, while they're doing that, while he's checking on that date, a quick question. Have we had many K through 6 plans come before us?
The state board has had numerous. We had not as many in the very, very beginning. We either had K-12, or we would have 312, or we would have maybe 612 or 912. But as the eviction rate has picked up, we have seen many come back and have to amend their plans to include additional grade spans to meet the needs of their parents.
Okay, I just don't remember seeing many, and this is just on me, from the K-3 grade levels.
That's true. Most of our district conversions are usually more in the high school, so you see more high school plans.
Okay.
And I would like to also clarify, Mary Claire Hyatt from legal also pointed out that this is for Founders Classical Academy of Bentonville and also Founders Classical Academy of West Little Rock, which they are a 6 through 12 campus. And the charter expires in June of 2028 for both locations.
Give us the cities again,
It's Bentonville,
which is K6.
K6, and then West Little Rock is 6 through 12.
Okay. And who do we have online today?
I apologize. Founders Classical Academy, we have Susan Provenza, Curtis Shack, and Steve Gast.
All right. Ms. Saraceni, you have questions?
Yes, I see where you are for students in grades K2 will be synchronous 3 times a week. Could you just maybe expand on that just a little?
Absolutely, no problem. It's actually going to be daily synchronous for the literacy piece for students in K3. And then we will have 3 days a week of the reading instruction small group. And then also for interventions, it will be synchronous as well.
Sonia, any questions?
Ms. Coughlin, this is Steve Gass speaking. I do want to clarify that in West Little Rock, we do have a K through 2 starting. So both campuses would be K through 6 eventually, but we only have K through 2 starting right now in our phase-in program in West Little Rock.
Thank you, Mr. Gast. Questions? Mr. Baldwin?
Yes, thank you. In your application, in the section that talks about expectation of teacher instruction, integration, and frequency, you all indicated that you're going to use success coaches and facilitators, which is something I'm not familiar with as a non-educator. But I guess my question is, what is the difference between a success coach and what I would call a traditional classroom teacher? And then a follow-up question would be, are the success coaches certified, and how much FaceTime, I guess, video FaceTime does the classroom teacher get with the students?
Sure. So the success coaches are primarily used for the asynchronous piece of the puzzle so that they can be checking in on students, making sure that the students are keeping up with their work, that if they have any extra questions, things like that. In terms of the synchronous instruction, That's actually going to be through teachers who are certified in RISE, who are delivering that instruction. Does that help?
So on the asynchronous, how much teacher time do the students get? Is it mostly success coaches, or is it also instructional teacher time?
It would primarily be success coaches on the asynchronous piece.
On the
Dr. Flowers?
How many success coaches do you have? Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
You ain't
Dr.
got
Flowers, you may have to get close to the mic.
How many success coaches do you have?
no, you ain't got no credits.
Our epics.
I can see what's in progress book for her.
Yeah.
She got some courses.
She got, yeah.
So we're gonna get that, yeah, logins.
Ramon, okay, you can mute, thank you. Ms. Provenza, Dr. Flowers was asking how many success coaches do you have?
Between the two campuses, we're probably going to have about 4 or 5 of those that are able to meet with students.
Okay.
And how many students do you expect to participate in the digital learning program?
Right now, who have expressed interest, we probably have somewhere between 30 and 50. It's pretty small numbers, but they are those families that are really wanting it.
Thank you. Dr. Williams, you have questions?
Are we doing 3 years on this one? I noticed their expiration is 28.
That would be fine. We asked for 3 years on the 7-12 one that we did. We're fine with 3 years.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Wright McMurray?
This is just a clarification question for me. This is
Okay.
the clarification question. So the Bentonville campus is asking for K through 6, and then the West Little Rock campus is asking for.
K2 and 6.
Okay. That was I thought I heard some. We're going to the 12th grade or something. So
Mr. Gast, that is correct, is it not? West Little Rock is asking for K2 and 6th grade, or as the grades are adding on to include those grades over the next 3 years?
Yeah, it would be more convenient to just be K through 6 on both campuses for us, because we will add grades next year, and that way we wouldn't have to keep coming back to add an additional year.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion
I move approval.
for 3 years.
Yeah, for 3 years. Sorry. Yes.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Wright McMurray and a second by Dr. Flowers to approve Flounders Classical Academy of Bentonville for K6 and West Little Rock for K6 for 3 years. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, your motion has passed. Mr. Gast, any final words, or Ms.
No, I appreciate the clarifications, and thank you to the panel for considering our application.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Yes. So now we have. I guess it's both questions first.
Number 2, Ms. Hyatt.
Good morning, Mary Claire Hyatt with ADE Legal. So the next item on the agenda is the digital learning contingency plans, and if it's okay with you, Ms. Kaufman, I'd like to just give a little bit of explanation. So there were lots of schools who, when we opened up the digital learning application process earlier in the spring, chose not to move forward with digital learning applications for whatever reason, or only did it for certain grades and did not do it for K-12. Since then, the situation with COVID numbers has significantly changed since the spring, and we've had a lot of schools come back and say, okay, we really want to offer a virtual learning option for more grades or for our students if they hadn't submitted something. As you have seen, those plans go through a very rigorous review at the department, and it takes several weeks at best going through the revision process back and forth with the schools, and it just was not feasible to be able to get that many applications through before the first day of school or the second day of school now, I guess. So the solution to that was to offer districts who would agree to a timeline of submitting a final plan by September 1st, the option to have 3 very limited waivers that would be necessary to operate a virtual program, those being physical attendance, recess for elementary students, and then the clock hours for high school units of credit to allow for asynchronous learning in 9-12. All of the class size, teaching load, instructional time, duty-free lunch, all of those rules would still be in place. It's just those 3 limited waivers. And they would be granted those waivers until September 1st. If they did not submit a plan, the waivers will immediately expire. If they do submit a plan, the waivers will continue until such time that the panel and the state board review their digital learning plan. There are several charters that are on the list: KIPP, West Wind Performing Arts, Premier Springdale, and Bowdoin, Hope Academy of Northwest Arkansas, Haas Hall, Future School, Arkansas Lighthouse, and Academics Plus. Those are the charter schools that submitted the form by the deadline. We did release this form on August 1st, so schools have had an opportunity to begin working on their plan. And these will be, if approved by you today, put on the special board meeting agenda for Thursday morning. I would like to, if possible, just approve them as a group. All of the forms are uploaded and they're all the exact same form. Every school filled out the same form. At the state board meeting last week, the state board approved all of the ones from the traditional public school districts as one agenda item. But if there are questions on any of it, I'm happy to answer.
Dr. Williams, we'll start with you. Do you have questions?
Actually, I don't. Ms. Hyatt just answered the things that I had in mind to ask. So I like the idea of approving these as a group. Also, I like the idea of just following the same pattern in which the state board did with the traditional public schools. So I'm trusting, as always, that ADE did the job of reviewing these appropriately. So I'm good to go. Thank you.
Dr. Flowers? Mr. Baldwin?
I just have a curiosity question. In looking at all the schools now that are getting the digital learning, are there any charter schools that have chosen not to do that still?
I do think we had 1 or 2, I'd have to double check, that did not submit the form, but I do think at this point every school has indicated that they are going to have a virtual obligation, that's not what I meant to say, option for their students, just because I think it's the demand from the parents that they have that kind of option for students, at least at the beginning of the school year.
Rob McMurray? Ms. Saraceni? All right. Hearing no additional questions, I'll accept a motion.
Motion that we accept these digital plans.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wright McMurray. So a motion by Ms. Saraceni, a second by Ms. Wright McMurray to approve the charter contingency digital learning plans as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, number 3, Mr. Johnston. We are to amendments now.
Yes, ma'am. Moving right along. Next on the agenda, and I apologize, I'm not sure what happened on the agenda, but the descriptions, I don't know how that happened. But the next amendment is, or the first amendment rather, is for Graduate Arkansas. Graduate Arkansas has submitted an amendment request to add a second 9 through 12 campus at 6900 Scott Hamilton Drive. They also want to increase their enrollment cap from 275 to 1500. Graduate Arkansas, Katie Hatley, Brent Ellison, Lindsay Swanigan, Sheila Bailey, David Jones, and Chris Bell are representing. Some of them are here in person. So will they need to be, Ms. Hyatt, do they need to be?
If you'll come and give us our directions.
First, you'll want to swear anybody in who is not an attorney, anybody that plans on testifying or answering questions. Then the applicant, Graduate Arkansas, will have 20 minutes to give its presentation. We received no notice of opposition, so there will be no one filling that spot, so you can allow up to an additional 5. And then ask any questions that you might have and then vote. And if at voting you have questions about your options, I'm happy to discuss them then.
And so am I to assume that their waivers would be the same as they currently have with Graduate Arkansas?
That's correct.
And and what is the year that their current charter expires?
I think it's 2026, but let's.
It is.
Okay. All right. If everyone speaking on behalf of Graduate Arkansas will stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. And Dana got the presentation ready. Ms. Hatley, the floor is yours. And there's a clicker right there to advance your slides. And if you'll be sure to introduce yourself for the record.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. I'm Katie Hatley, Superintendent of Graduate Arkansas. We're before you today for a charter amendment request. We would like for you to know that we have full support and unanimous affirmation from our Board of Directors on behalf of this request. Also appearing via Zoom are some representatives of the entities that was mentioned in the narrative: Diane McConnell, Job Corps, Larry Ballou, and Raymond Davenport of Cincinnati Charter Schools Collaborative Vocational Program, Susan McEllier, Grade Results, and Chris Lee. Brent, please join me.
Thank you, Ms. Hadley. Brent Elliott, General Business Manager. Who we are. Graduate Arkansas provides a free high school education option for students that were not successful in the traditional environment. Yes, sir, thank you. Many students are overaged and undercredited, while others have totally dropped out. Graduate Arkansas, formerly SciTech Little Rock, began its journey as an open enrollment public charter school located on the Job Corps campus in 2011. In 2019, the school's name changed to Graduate Arkansas. Graduate Arkansas has received full accreditation for all years of operation. Graduate Arkansas's model is designed to support each student's real-life situation and assist them in persevering to become productive citizens and obtain adequate employment. For the 2020-2021 school year, the school served a total of 120 students and celebrated 50 graduates. Our staff. Ms. Katie Hatley was the founding principal when Graduate Arkansas opened in 2011 and served in that role until being promoted to director. In July of 2019, Ms. Hatley became the superintendent of Graduate Arkansas and continues to serve in that capacity. Ms. Hatley holds an EDS and district level leadership with 17 of her 30 years of experience in administration. Ms. Hatley has had the opportunity to teach in Hawaii and Alabama as well. Ms. Hatley leads a staff of dedicated professionals with diverse backgrounds and experience. The instructional staff has a combined total of 26 years teaching experience, and 2 of the 4 instructors hold master's degrees, while the special education director holds an EDS. Graduate Arkansas staff are committed to making each day count for every student and to helping students achieve their goals, obtain their high school diploma, and realize their dreams. Our students. At Graduate Arkansas, we refer to our students as at promise, not at risk, because at-risk students are surrounded by at-risk adults. Students at Graduate Arkansas are surrounded with role models who believe students can begin a fresh start. Staff members work to break down the barriers that have hindered student success by helping students visualize and believe in their own positive, productive futures. The unique needs of our students are driven by their unique circumstances, including economically disadvantaged, youth who have opted out of traditional high school, overaged and undercredited, young parents, those working to support family and need flexible schedules, those working to re-enter society after being incarcerated. Our lead teacher, Ms. Wenning, will talk about our educational model.
Good morning, I am Ms. Swinigan, lead teacher. So our education model, flexible online courses and curriculum that meets our students' needs. So Graduate Arkansas supports this student using the Edgenuity Learning Solution. That's our learning platform. It is the leading provider of K-12 online curriculum and blended learning solutions that specialize in online courses, instructional services, and more. And it's the best online platform that I've ever facilitated. It is grounded in research and aligned to state and national standards and the NGSS. It combines direct instruction videos featuring expert remote teachers with rigorous assignments and performance tasks and assessments to engage the students in every subject. It connects students with flexible opportunities to involve instructional needs for online, blended, and hybrid, and also in-person instruction. The students' experience is highly rigorous, featuring standards-based instruction, powerful interactive tools, engaging multimedia, and real-world applications that focus on building content knowledge. So these are some of our services listed. Credit recovery for kids who have credits that they did not get at their previous school. ACT test prep, which is also included in Edgenuity. Life skills, we bring guest speakers on campus, talk to the students, let them interact with them. College and career readiness, also involved in Edgenuity. Military preparedness, which is basically test rep to get them ready for the ASVAB, and we bring recruiters on campus as well. Rehabilitation and therapeutic, students who have access to vocational rehabilitation, which is tutoring, life skills, and employability workshops. Beyond the classroom, most if not all of our students face unusual and unique challenges, why it's necessary for us to provide these students with social emotional services. We are intentional about ensuring that our students are introduced to concepts, ideas, and activities that are generally not available in their communities that they live, and those are listed below. I will now introduce Ms. Sheila Bailey to talk about our nutrition.
Good morning. I'm Sheila Bailey, the nutritionist consultant for Graduate Arkansas. Graduate Arkansas School District participates in the National School Breakfast and Lunch programs. They're sponsored by the United States Department of Agriculture, and we are held to a high standard of accountability, good nutrition, and safety. Eating breakfast, lunch, and snack will enable students to be better prepared to learn in the classroom. To accommodate our students' need for flexible schedules, breakfast is offered from approximately 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. Lunch is offered from 12 p.m. until 2:30 p.m. Then a snack is served at 2:35 for those students that are still there until they leave. Virtual students can also access meals through the grab-and-go process. Graduate Arkansas will continue to participate in the Community Eligibility Provision, the CEP, during the 2021-22 school year, which allows us to provide meals regardless of eligibility category and no charge to all students. CEP is made possible through the United States Department of Agriculture. We also participated in the Books, Breakfast, and Beyond Challenge 2021 that was sponsored by the Arkansas Hunger Relief Alliance. That is a nationwide organization where we were also mentioned in their newsletter for participating. USDA also provided us with an equipment assistance grant whereby we were able to purchase an ice machine that will enhance the serving of the meals at Graduate Arkansas. Thank you. Now we'll turn it back over to Ms. Holly.
Ms. Bailey forgot to mention her numerous years of experience working for the state in the child nutrition services also. So our COVID digital learning services, we recognize that the COVID-19 pandemic created a great gap in education, resulting in a significant number of lost students who fell into cohorts that we seek to serve. Take this off. In recognition of that, we know that, the probable adverse generational impacts on students and families the workforce, our state and local tax base, and of course the juvenile and justice system, Graduate Arkansas is undertaking concentrated efforts to reach and recover those students. So they're no longer lost or disconnected. Given the reported number of students that disconnected during the pandemic last year, coupled with the ongoing and lingering nature of the pandemic, we anticipate an enrollment spike within the next 2 to 5 years. And some of these next couple of slides, we're just celebrating our graduates. Go back one. So this young lady is a brother and sister duo. They're up there in the top middle. Both of them have children about the same age. The young man was already enrolled with us, and then his sister enrolled when she realized that, in traditional settings, she was a young mother. She needed to go ahead and finish and get ready to start, her life as a mother and go to school. Just some more faces of our graduates, some more, and I hope you guys look at the smiles on their face of these students who just didn't think a high school diploma attainment was an option. This student here is Officer Pleasant. He looked like a little kid right there before he joined the military, but he was a dropout, joined the military, did basic AIT, graduated, came back and was accepted into the police academy in Little Rock. He's a policeman, so now he's serving in the Guard, but he also works 1 day a week at campus as security. And he's here today, and I'd like to thank him for always supporting me. He didn't come in uniform, but he's just giving back. We're a service, and just giving back is what's most important for me.
Brent Elliott. Our future aspirations. While we look back on our past achievements with pride, we understand that there is much to be accomplished in the future. Graduate Arkansas's leadership and staff are continuously working to increase our ability to better understand and help the students we serve, as well as to expand the services we provide. Graduate Arkansas is taking steps to enhance our physical and digital environment through technology and facility upgrades. Graduate Arkansas is seeking to expand its service area and add 2 additional programs, Job Corps services and the Preemptive Juvenile and Young Adult Justice System services. Job Corps program. When Graduate Arkansas opened its doors, it did so on the Job Corps campus located at 6900 Scott Hamilton Drive. At the time, Graduate Arkansas described its relationship with the Federal Job Corps program as a symbiotic relationship to maximize Arkansas public education efforts, provide school dropouts the opportunity to complete their secondary education in a technology-rich, classroom-based environment, and an elective program that provides career technical certification for a 21st century workforce. Approval of the Graduate Arkansas's request to renew its relationship with Job Corps will allow Graduate Arkansas to reestablish and reinforce a pathway for the academic success of students whose unique circumstances and aspirations require a residential program. To achieve this goal, Graduate Arkansas is requesting to add an on-site, in-person instructional program on the Job Corps campus. Graduate Arkansas expects that it will serve approximately 300 additional students throughout this partnership. Dual enrolled, Job Corps students are enrolled through Graduate Arkansas's regular enrollment process and are subject to the same enrollment criteria, including age limitations, as other Graduate Arkansas students. Preemptive Juvenile Justice System services. Board approval of Graduate Arkansas's request to join the efforts of the juvenile divisions around the state will aid juveniles to continue their education and eventually graduate, despite their history in the court systems. The Preemptive Juvenile Justice System Services and Graduate Arkansas are requesting approval to provide the best opportunities possible for Arkansas's youth. Specifically consistent with its culture and core values, Graduate Arkansas's focus is to transform at-risk juveniles to at-promise students. With board approval, Graduate Arkansas expects that it will serve approximately 925 additional students through this partnership. Along with an online educational curriculum, these students will have access to all of Graduate Arkansas's student services. Our facilities. Are we able to move the picture over a little bit?
Dan, can you move the sidebar?
Graduate Arkansas campus.
Facilities, he's just trying to move the sidebar from the Zoom down to where he can see the whole page.
Graduate Arkansas's campus is located at 6724 Interstate 30, Little Rock, Arkansas. If its request is approved, Graduate Arkansas will expand operations at the Job Corps campus, which is located at 6900 Scott Hamilton Drive, Little Rock, Arkansas. Graduate Arkansas will also expand its online presence. The proximity of Graduate Arkansas and the Job Corps campus will allow Graduate Arkansas to serve both traditional students and dual Graduate Arkansas and Job Corps students on campuses that are in the same community. Under the proposed agreement, Graduate Arkansas will be afforded the opportunity to operate on the Job Corps site at no additional facilities cost to Graduate Arkansas. The proposed expansion of its online presence will also allow Graduate Arkansas to provide the preemptive juvenile justice system services to students throughout the state. Our finances. Graduate Arkansas's financial outlook remains positive. Our fund balance as of June 2021 is approximately $500,000. Moreover, Graduate Arkansas has not had a single audit finding during its annual financial audits in its 10-year history. Operational enhancements. Graduate Arkansas understands that sustained excellence is achieved through self-assessment and continuous improvement. Graduate Arkansas recognizes that there are several areas to which it will need to be attuned if it is to successfully absorb the requested enrollment increase. Graduate Arkansas has taken or will take the following actions to further prepare its operations to successfully integrate students. E-school administration, enhanced training for new full-time registrar, cross-train multiple administrative staff members in student accounting processes. Counseling services, recruiting a full-time student success coach with a background in social work to provide counseling services in anticipation of increased student need. Ms. Hadley will speak about our request.
So our request, as the work continues, the central focus of Graduate Arkansas is to continue to serve the underprivileged youth in our state, ages 15 to 21, who need a high school diploma. Specifically, Graduate Arkansas is requesting to, 1, add a second 9 through 12 campus on 6900 Scott Hamilton Drive, which is the Little Rock Job Corps Center, and 2, increase enrollment cap from 275 to 1500 to meet the need. And if you look down below at the chart, existing student base, 275 with the Job Corps. Potential students, they have an OBS of 300. So that, we're looking at 575, and then the preemptive juvenile justice system students who I've always served, but just not that many, working with Little Rock's probation officers, would call for the need for the increase. And now we will have our first graduate as Graduate Arkansas, LaBria Gay. Oh, you skipped. It's almost 3 minutes long, so I don't want to run over our 20 minutes. Commissioner Kaufman. Okay. So while we're troubleshooting some technical difficulties, I would like to thank all of you for hearing our request this morning. And while I was here before you for my digital learning plan, Commissioner Kaufman said come back. You guys had a lot of questions, so hopefully you receive more answers today.
All right, well,
We may not play, we can go ahead and just
okay.
take questions.
And if we get it working later, we may come
Yes,
back to
ma'am.
it. All right, thank you so much, and we'll get started with Ms. Hite to come and give us our next directions. We don't have any additional waivers to go over, so any legal concerns?
No issue with the waivers at all. The only legal concern is, so Job Corps serves students up to age 24. Arkansas Public Schools are permitted to serve students up to age 21. So just some sort of confirmation that they're aware that since they're not approved as an adult education open enrollment charter, that any student that's over the age of 21 would not be permitted to be enrolled in the open enrollment charter.
That's correct. And when we opened up on the Job Corps Center in 2011, they have an academic coach, and these students are properly vetted. So over age, which they can stay enrolled with us at 21 up until they turn 22, but they must complete. We don't even see their files. They're like kept in two separate files. So.
And while we're kind of on that question, I know at the end of last year, you lost your person that was entering data into eSchool and your counselor, which I think was maybe one person, the one person that had many jobs. Have you filled those positions?
So my registrar is replaced. She starts Monday.
Okay.
And the register from last year doing the audit finding, Brenda and I decided to move federal programs to her because I just didn't realize the waiver that we did. I thought we had that we didn't have. We only have a waiver for a licensed counselor, but we couldn't remove the governor's initiative. But she never even started working in that position or role or even got trained. So that was corrected immediately the day the review took place. But and to prevent that from happening again, we're being cross-trained. I am my administrative assistant and a teacher.
Good.
Is being
Good.
cross-trained. So.
Okay. All right, Ms. Wright McMurray, we'll start on your end. Do you have questions for Ms. Hatley?
I do, and thank you and your team for your presentation. So just a couple of questions, and if I need to get back in the queue, I will. So trying to get an understanding of your, like your current average enrollment, because I know you said for 2021.
Labria, I just want to.
Sorry. You guys were at 120 students, and so is that where you typically are? Is this a lower year, or because I know that your cap is 275, and so I'm just trying to gauge where you normally would be.
Great question, because a lot of times people look through traditional lenses, so we can enroll these students every day, and they can graduate every single day on that competency-based program. So we fluctuate between 100 to 130. It just depends on the population, really.
So, I guess I'm trying to get a sense of have you gotten to your cap before?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So, I don't know so, I guess I'm just trying to get a sense of you haven't gotten to the cap before. How do you anticipate you're going to get to the 1,500 with adding the other areas? Because part of what I was listening for, and maybe you guys can share a little bit more about, is what's going to be kind of your recruitment to kind of get those students to want to be a part, or how are students referred to the program? How are you going to get to that 1,500 increased enrollment?
So like on the chart with the Job Corps potential graduates, that's 300 right there. But we did reach our cap. We were at our cap when we first opened.
Okay.
My legal ones.
David Jones, right-hand and legal counsel for Graduate Arkansas. And one of the things that when we've made the projections on the preemptive services, we were intentionally conservative in those projections. I've had the opportunity, because it is touching the legal system, to talk directly with, and some of our partners also have had the opportunity to talk directly with some of the judges. There's one judge who has affirmed that they're looking at potentially 300 that one judge would want to send through the system, and there are multiple judicial districts around the state. So I think that number is extremely conservative, and what we are trying to avoid doing is putting a program in place where you have the opportunity for some students to be served, but it's not enough to really make an impact on a significant number of the students around the state who would would want to access those services.
So for the juvenile justice, you're saying that some of those judges are going to refer students based off of sentencing and things like that to your program?
That's correct.
And then for Job Corps, are those folks, is that a part of their plan? Are they required to be a part of Graduate Arkansas? How are you going to get those students engaged?
So with the Job Corp Partnership, students, they can live on campus, they enroll, and it's usually students who have dropped out of high school or having some type of socioeconomic problem, and they need a high school diploma. So their campus, we're a mile apart. So just like when we open on that campus, they need an online, not even online, they just needed an opportunity for these students to earn a diploma.
So this kind of, they're kind of having to be a part, I'm just trying to get a sense, is it a requirement that they're a part of the Graduate Arkansas for you to?
Yeah, they want them to have a high school diploma and a trade when they graduate.
Okay.
Yeah, just like when we open.
Okay.
I see now, I just
Okay.
required, yes ma'am.
Thank you for your presentation. So just to clarify, you haven't in the past partnered with these two entities, but because you're going to partner with them, if upon approval, then that's why you would need the increase in the enrollment?
We partnered with Job Corps in 2011. We actually opened on their campus, and we were there for 2 years. The only reason why we left the campus was I was finding out that I had more community students than Job Corps students who were in need of a high school diploma. At first, Department of Labor allowed me to enroll about 5 or 6 students who were just community students, and they kind of rethought that because we had an issue and they were not part of the Job Corps. So, we couldn't enroll anymore unless they joined the Job Corps system.
Okay, thank you.
And so we moved, like a mile, a couple of blocks away so they can access both.
Dr. Williams?
Thank you. First of all, Ms. Hatley, I always appreciate the role that Graduate Arkansas is playing to give students and young adults an opportunity. Ms. McMurray asked, Wright McMurray asked the questions I was going to ask. It was more about your enrollment, where the extra students are going to come from, whether you all were working with the judicial system to have some conversations on that. And it sounds like you all have. I didn't quite understand, you were clarifying something that I was a little confused on, and you may just add a little bit something to it. I knew you were already working with Job Corps, didn't realize you all had left, and you all are back now. Do you foresee any challenges, the same challenges that you had initially with Job Corps?
No, sir, I don't, because the only students on the Job Corps campus are actual Job Corps students. So our school is still there for the community students who are not interested in joining Job Corps. So I don't foresee any challenges.
Okay, thank you. No other questions?
To clarify, so what you're saying is because you have 2 campuses, the Job Corps site would be for the students enrolled in Job Corps, and Graduate Arkansas's original campus would be for all other
Community
students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Baldwin?
So continuing the trend of asking about your student population, and it's great, and I agree with Dr. Williams, what you guys do is great. I appreciate the sergeant and officer being here. That's a living example of what you accomplish, which is wonderful. With what looks like it could be a large growth in population base for students, is that going to happen all in 1 year? Will it happen over a period of years, and will you have the teachers and all the classroom space to handle the growth?
And that's why we would like to create an online presence. With COVID, it has just changed the dynamics of education altogether in traditional settings. I can no longer fill the calls, sir, for parents for their child to enroll in school because they no longer want them in a traditional setting, or the remote learning is not working for them. Ours is set up a little bit differently. I'm really afraid. We have the facility and we have the online presence to support.
Okay, so you use
And
both
there
to-
we have teachers at Job Corps to support the population. We're prepared for that.
And if I might add something there, so with the agreements that would be proposed on both of those partnerships, it would be expected that it's not all going to be tomorrow, but we do expect, because number one, there's been a previous history with serving some of those youths that are coming through juvenile services, and they're now saying, hey, let's do a more formalized agreement or formalized partnership, that it would be a gradual but significant increase in year one, and then I think there were projections year 2 through 5 that were talked about. We would expect that we want to have the opportunity to honor those partnerships by being able to service those students immediately, and strategic plans have been put in place for the eventuality of, if there are going to be immediate influx of students, how are we going to handle that? But we do expect that some of that increase is going to be over time.
Thank you.
Dr. Flowers?
Yes, and again, thank you, Ms. Haley, for your presentation and your time as well. My question focuses on your recent graduates. You mentioned that you celebrated 50 graduates recently. Can you talk to me in maybe numbers or percents in regards to your students who maybe want to go into the workforce in comparison to those who want to discuss and move into college? Can you talk to me about those populations?
I will, and I should have had some documentation, because I have 6 students who've attended orientation for college, 5 students who graduated, joined the Army. Others are working as CNAs and different things in different areas in the workforce. So, I mean, I've always preached taxpayers, not tax takers. So when we work on their student success plan, Ms. Swanigan could tell you yesterday with the new students, we had some goals. And so when they design their curriculum, they do checks. And if they're not doing what we want them to do, that we think would help them to be successful, then we bring them in and have a little conversation. So we with the graduates, every last one of my graduates, I think with 2, are either in college or willfully employed.
That's great.
Thank you.
Dan, I think we're ready to show the video.
You to know that I'm extremely proud of you. I'm so thankful you didn't give up. You know, you had a lot of obstacles. You're working a full-time job. You had a lot of responsibilities, but you are our first graduate from Graduate Arkansas. We are beyond proud of you, and you know that. What kind of encouraging words would you give someone who may be in your shoes or contemplating or just ready to give up?
Just don't give up. As long as you got that support, you got the support that you need, you know what I'm saying? As long as you keep focusing, just keep focusing, put your mind to it, you can do it. Anybody can do it. It's a mind thing. And I didn't give up. It was times I wanted to, but I pushed myself, and my mom did too.
And that's so awesome. And some of our students may not have that support of a loving mother at home. What advice would you give them to just keep pushing?
Just think of things just being worse, you know, just think of it being worse. And even if you don't have no support, if you don't have nobody in your corner, just if you do what's best for you, and you know you want to succeed and you know you want things in life, just go for it.
Perfect. What's your next step? I know you want to become a CNA.
I plan on going to try to get enrolled in PT, Plastic Tech, and see what I can do over there, and try to go to school for medical assistance or something like that, just to get started. And that's it for right there.
Okay, well that's perfect. That's a great start. What would you say about the staff? Was it anyone that just encouraged you that you could keep going because you were here and you left and you came back? And I know we always called you.
All the teachers, literally all of y'all, everybody pushed. Every time I walked in, everybody like, you got it, you gonna get done. And that was another effort, you know what I'm saying, a big push too. Even, you know what I'm saying, I only had support for my mom, but here at Sci Tech, yes, all the teachers definitely was a big push.
Well, formerly Sci Tech, but you know you're graduating as Graduate Arkansas with the name changed. So what would you say to a senior who may need to come over and finish, who may fall short that what would you encourage them to do?
Just pick up where you left off. It's a great, come here, it's a great start, you know, so just pick up where you left, whatever you weren't able to understand, it's easier here to be able to be one-on-one with a teacher. If you need any help, they're gonna help you. As long as they see you trying, they's definitely gonna help you.
And what's one final message you would leave for your mother?
I love you. First, for number one, I love you. I just thank you for just being there.
And she's crying, Mom, but this is to overcome what she's been through. We just wish we had more mothers like you.
I thank you so much. I literally couldn't do it without you. Thank you again.
Awesome.
As you can see, trying to get some of our students here to speak, they did not like cameras. And one of my young men, I tried to get him to come, and I showed him the setup. He said, no, that reminds me of Corp. I mean, they have some phenomenal stories, but you just never know the trauma these kids have endured.
Absolutely. So one thing that I did not see in the application anywhere or the amendment was your planned start date.
Yeah.
So is your plan to be ready to start the next school year, or?
For the partnerships?
Yes.
Oh, immediately.
Immediately, once
ma'am.
state board approves.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in your explanation of amendment request, you mentioned a Tier 1 Arkansas High School diploma.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a Tier 1 Arkansas High School diploma, so I'm assuming you mean what?
Well, we've had a under SciTech's umbrella when Advanced Ed came through. They presented us with a letter that said that our online diploma, because we've always had online curriculum, was a Tier 1 diploma, which the military likes to use because the students they go in with a rank. I'm not sure how that works. Antonio probably could help me. So we'll just have to revisit that Tier 1 if that's taken off title.
So I just don't know what it means.
It really doesn't mean anything for just like regular students, but if military base, that's what they want to see, that you have like an accredited diploma. Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
All right. So you're still meeting our 22 graduation requirements?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then you said in your application that you would partner with Grade Results Incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
So who are they and what do they do for you?
They're an extension of our online management learning system.
And so I'm assuming that is like a grade bookkeeper or something like that, but your grades are still entered into eSchool?
Actually, that's the services we would like to use to support our online platform. So they would enter grades. We enter them into eSchool, and they enter.
Those were the magic words. Yes, we'll be using eSchool.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
All right. Any additional questions?
I do have another.
Ms. Wright McMurray?
And I just, listening to the young lady, and thank you again for including the video. We always love to see the outcomes, and the personal touch is always wonderful. She mentioned she has plans to go on to possibly Pulaski Tech or something to pursue her CNA. So could you just give me a little bit of information? Are there students able to, and I noticed from your presentation in the notes, there's career technical opportunities for certifications and those pieces. Mm-hmm. How is that offered, and what options do they have available with Graduate Arkansas?
So since we don't offer ourselves CTE, we partner with different entities. We've partnered with, used to be Workforce. They would come on and pick our students up. They're in school half day, then the second half they're picked up and taken to Workforce to work on a trade. With COVID, know that. So now we go ahead and partner with, and I don't do that part of it, different entities to go ahead and get them enrolled and started in a program. And she's a certified CNA now. She's also a Pulaski Tech student. But there is a school that I was informed of on Baseline, I think, that has a CNA program, but I'm always looking for free. I always tell my students no student loans. Let me look for free. I mean, we have excellent wraparound services. And of course, you know, if you just in the room, and a lot of people know who I serve. So I'm just always getting calls, you know, asking, just like the Arkansas Employment Career Center, they're certified CTA provider. My students who go there, if they're on SNAP benefits, not only can they go to school for free, their parent can too. So that's what I'm trying to get, breaking generational curses, get more people enrolled in the family.
And all that's a part of the college and career readiness plan, and that's offered by, that's us offered on campus, the college and career readiness services that you mentioned.
No, they have a building downtown.
Okay.
And they come to campus to make presentations. Like right now, my 11th and 12th graders that I have enrolled, I'll go ahead and, they're minors, meet with the parents, so, you know, they can come in and present this material. Because there are a lot of free opportunities for our students they just may not know about. And just like AMBET or I know adults who've never heard of that. And that's just an insurance provider. So she would come and sign up kids right on the spot. And they have insurance.
Dr. Flowers, any additional questions? Mr. Baldwin? Dr. Williams, any additional questions? Ms. Hatley, I do have additional questions. So if you are to add in this additional campus, so you're not requesting a new LEA number?
No, ma'am.
So you're just going to have one LEA number with 2 campuses?
Yes, ma'am.
And that will be coded appropriately in eSchool. And then will you be, I think the question was asked earlier, but you'll be adding new staff at the Job Corps site? Okay. And then equipment and all of those things, you got all that covered?
We spent a lot of our money on
Okay. All right. Hearing no additional questions, panel, as soon as I find my page, I'll be ready for a motion.
I move approval of the application for the amendment to the charter. Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Wright McMurray and a second by Ms. Saraceni to approve the charter amendment for Graduate Arkansas to add an additional campus and to increase the enrollment cap. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And I believe we need to go into the voting sheets because this is an amendment. And so while they're putting their notes in, Ms. Hyatt, will this item be on the State Board agenda as well for Thursday? Or will it need to go, as an amendment, go to the regular State Board meeting?
It's my understanding that only the digital learning amendments are going to go on the special board meeting because those are time sensitive in that those programs need to begin immediately. So I think this one will go on the September agenda unless this panel feels differently.
September, good?
It may have to be. I would consider this a special thing since we need to get kids enrolled, but September is fine.
Okay. Mr. Jones, you want to add to that?
I was going to add to that. I mean, I think ultimately we're at the mercy of this board, this panel. Our partners have asked that we do this sooner rather than later. If there is an opportunity to get in earlier, then that would be much appreciated by, I think, our partners and by our staff, because they will have to take some steps to make sure that these kids are integrated during this school year.
Is that?
If it's all right with this panel, I can communicate with the chief of staff who's in charge of helping do the agenda for the board meetings and make sure that it was within the scope of the special called meeting to include this. If it is, I'm more than happy to include it. If it's not, it'll need to stay on the September agenda.
Is that agreeable?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So I'll just communicate directly with Ms. Hatley after I have an opportunity to speak with the internal people. And then I will provide an update to this panel today or tomorrow.
All right. Dr. Flowers, if you'd like to share your comment.
Yes. Approved. I look forward to seeing continued success through your expansion as you support young adults in preparing them for college and career.
Mr. Baldwin?
Yes, I voted to approve. I see you all as a high-impact program, and your expansion is important and well done.
Ms. Saraceni? Ms. Wright McMurray?
I voted for, and I support the amendment request to expand the enrollment cap. This will allow for more students and progress to recognize and achieve their potential. The outcomes will be realized in our communities across the state with education and economic growth.
Thank you. Mr. Williams? Dr. Williams?
I support the motion. The amendments provide additional opportunities for students of an underserved population.
Thank you. Congratulations, and expect to hear from Ms. Hite about which state board meeting agenda you'll be added to.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You guys
Thank
have a
you.
great day.
Mr. Johnston, we want to do B and then take a quick break.
Yes, ma'am. And I was going to tell the panel that the afternoon agenda item representation is here on site. If we, after the break, if you want to just move the agenda up and do.
Yes, we do.
Okay, and then then we'll just have lunch after that.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay. Okay, next, let's see, as soon as I find my place. Okay, the next consideration of charter amendment is the Driven Virtual Academy. They've submitted a charter amendment request to raise the current enrollment count from 500 students to 750. Their charter expires in June of 2026. Rachel Blackwell, who is the digital learning facilitator for the district, is on Zoom, and I believe that she may have an additional request for the board she would like to discuss.
Yes, can you hear me? All right, good morning, Charter Board. My name is Rachel Blackwell, and I'm representing the Driven Virtual Academy with Pulaski County Special School District. We did request an additional 250 spots for enrollment, but with everything going on, we would like to request 300 instead of 250 due to our enrollment still, people are still filling out the application for enrollment.
So you're proposing a cap of 800 total?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Williams, do you have questions?
I'm sorry, yes. Give me an idea of what the numbers look like now. To go from 250 increase to 300 on such short notice, what evidence do you have that's going to be needed? And if that's needed, do you project any numbers larger than 300?
So at the end of July, when the mask mandate was not something that was in effect, we sent out a notice to families. At that time, I think we were sitting at 235 applicants. But when that notice went out, our numbers increased quickly, even with our board recently approving a mask mandate for our district. Parents are still very concerned. And so right now our application is, the number for additional 300 is what our application is reflecting right now.
So you don't think you need any more than 300?
We're hoping to keep it, just because even though we're asking for this increase, we still have to, of course, acquire teachers, train them, and at some point we have to have some kind of cap so that we can make sure that we can do a decent job, the best job for the students that we do have, and we don't want to increase it more than that.
Okay, and that's all to happen this fall?
Yes, these parents are eagerly waiting to see if they can, some of them are sitting at home trying to decide what to do and just to keep their students safe, and so we definitely want something in place as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, no, thank you.
Dr. Flowers?
No additional questions.
Mr. Baldwin? Ms. Wright McMurray?
Any additional questions?
Ms. Saraceni?
No questions.
So I had no questions except, Ms. Blackwell, I'm assuming that just like our previous conversation with Graduate Arkansas, you would need us to try to expedite this to the state board as quickly as possible?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we'll ask the same question for this one as well. All right. Hearing no additional questions, I'll accept a motion.
Second.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Wright McMurray and a second by Dr. Flowers to approve the charter amendment for Driven Virtual Academy to increase the enrollment cap to 800.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. And if you'll make your comments in the document.
I just wanted to update the panel. We will put the Graduate Arkansas amendment request on the Thursday State Board agenda and also the Pulaski County one. So they'll both be heard at the special meeting.
Thank you so much. And I'm assuming you'll let Ms. Hatley know as well. Thank you so much. Exciting news, Ms. Blackwell.
Yes, thank you, Charter Board.
Mr. Baldwin, you want to start us off? Do you want to start us off with your comments?
You all have a good program. I think the request is reasonable. We like also got behind the limitation of the money. Providing those services.
Ms. Blackwell, were you able to hear him?
No, I was not.
Okay, we'll try it again.
No problem.
I've got the green light this time. Can you hear me now? Okay, good. Sorry. I think your request to increase your enrollment to 800 is reasonable, and I like the fact that you also want to limit it to that to make sure you can support the students as you should.
Dr. Flowers?
Approved. I support this increase to support student needs.
Dr. Williams?
Support the motion. This will meet the needs of both students and parents by allowing more students to participate virtually.
Ms. Saraceni?
I support the increase of the enrollment cap from 500 to 800. This will meet the needs of your students.
Ms. Wright McMurray?
I support the amendment request. This expansion will allow the district to meet the needs of students during the pandemic. I appreciate their willingness to cautiously increase enrollment with consideration of the quality of the education experience for their students.
All right, well, congratulations, Ms. Blackwell, and be sure to tune in Thursday for the State Board meeting. Mr.
All right,
Johnston?
Yes, ma'am. I'll be sharing the Zoom link with all of the people who will be on the Thursday agenda.
Thank you so much. Panel, do you want to take a quick 12-minute break and come back at 10:30 and take our last item? Thank you.
Oh, that's not yours. That's not.
That's not mine.
That's. I think that's.
Oh, okay.
Well, I just glanced. I thought it was.
All right. I think we're all back and ready to get started. Ms. Hyatt, if you will go over the process, please.
Yes, so I think this is our only new application hearing today, but we'll have 2 more tomorrow. It's the same process for all 3. So again, you'll want to swear in anyone who's testifying on behalf of the applicant except for attorneys. And they'll have 20 minutes to present their application. We have no opposition for this applicant, so you can go right into any additional time. Following that, we will go through any remaining legal issues and any remaining issues from the internal review committee from ADE. And you may ask questions of the division, of legal, or of the applicant. You have lots of options in terms of what you can do, and if you have questions about them when we get there, I'm happy to discuss them with you.
Mr. Johnston.
Tim Johnston, DESE Charter Unit. So for your consideration is an open enrollment charter application for Premier High School of Fort Smith. They would like to establish an open enrollment school beginning with the 22-23 academic year. The school would be located within the Fort Smith School District. The charter would follow a credit recovery, ALE, and personalized learning education model. Dennis Felton Jr. is here representing the district, and he has several people with him. I will let him introduce any of the speakers.
All right. I will ask everyone that's going to be speaking on behalf of Premier High School of Fort Smith to please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. And ask that as you're coming to the podium, if you'll be sure to speak clearly into the microphone and state your name and position for the record.
My name is Steve Gast. I'm the superintendent for Responsive Ed Arkansas. And I just wanted to, before I bring up Mr. Felton, wanted to thank the panel for taking the time to listen to us today. We're very excited about providing you a proposal for a new charter school in Fort Smith. We currently serve students in our premier high schools in Little Rock, North Little Rock, and we opened Springdale this year. Today with me I have Mr. Dennis Felton, who will be doing the presentation, and Dennis is our state director of our premier schools. Curtis Shack, our executive director of operations. Katie Stevens, who is our director of finance. Rhonda Bradford is our director of federal programs and staff development and campus leadership. Marla Pearson, our director of special programs, and Aaron Duvall, our director of CTE. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Dennis Felton for our presentation on Fort Smith Premier High School.
Good morning. As Mr. Gadd said, I'm Dennis Felton, our State Director of Premier High Schools of Arkansas. So, give you a little overview of our presentation this morning. We'll spend some time just talking about what is Premier High School. We'll spend some time looking at the Premier High School impact in Arkansas and the communities. And then we'll talk a little bit about Premier 2.0, which is our reflection on how do we improve to continue to have a quality high school and be sustainable. And then we'll get into why Fort Smith. So what is Premier High School? Who do we serve? We like to think that we serve all students. In particular, we do have a mission and vision that's geared towards going after the at-risk student. And so typically we see a trend of students that are looking for a smaller learning environment. Students looking for a more flexible schedule, something that's a little bit outside the box of the traditional model. And then the majority of our school, the majority of students in our school we've seen have previously been disengaged or dropped out of high school. So let's revisit our mission. We want to continue to provide hope in the communities of Arkansas by offering a mastery-based program that also promotes a free society and cultivates moral and academic excellence in students. So we're blessed to have opportunity to serve in 3 communities in Arkansas and seeking to serve in the 4th community today. As an organization on a national perspective, we actually have over 34 premier high schools located in the state of Texas as well. we're able to continue our mission and vision. So what does Premier High School offer? Premier High School offers a personalized learning environment that has high quality instructors and a viable curriculum. Offers a flexible schedule that's blended with character education. We want to make sure students are not only getting the academic support and content that they need, but we want them to be better human beings as they go back into the communities and serve. We provide adequate post-secondary support and planning, and also want to engage students in student life. So talking about a little bit about the academic model. The personalized learning model allows students to work on the things they need to graduate. So we see a spectrum of the students. There may be a student that comes in as a traditional ninth grader that needs all full graduation requirements. There may be a student that comes in and only needs 1 credit to graduate. And so every student focuses on the things they need to graduate from high school. As they engage in our curriculum, students are not skating as well. The students do engage in a mastery-based program, so students have to score a proficient level, which is scored at a 70 or above in order to move forward. Also within the academic model, we're teaching goal setting, we're teaching ownership, because students have to also obtain those study skills and soft skills that they need to be successful in their post-secondary goals. Then each student engages in advisory. It kind of looks very similar to your collegiate setting where they're sitting with an academic advisor, talking about the things they need to graduate, and then talking about those post-secondary goals as well. And each student also has a personalized learning coach that acts in support of the teacher to work with everything from small tutorial, technical assistance, and even working with students to develop things like goals. So talking about, is Premier High School making a difference here in Arkansas? And so you see when Little Rock opened 2013, we opened up North Little Rock in 2019 and Springdale this year. You can see we've had over 200 high school diplomas that have been awarded to high school students who otherwise wouldn't have a high school diploma. You can also see there's some trends of students who've dropped out of school. There's some trends of students who've been in juvenile justice system. There's some trends of students who are also teen parents. At the same time, we've seen some kids that come to us that are ready to get engaged in collegiate coursework. And so we've got those kids start off in working on those post-secondary goals as well, and then making sure that we're following up to make sure students are enrolling in some kind of post-secondary institution. One of the things we're also trying to do at Premier High School is as we engage students in the academic process, we want to make sure that we're having as much student life to keep them engaged in school. We like to think that because we are small, a lot of our students get opportunities they would not have otherwise to be in our school because of the larger school setting. We're also spending a lot of time on our college and career readiness, so making sure students are partnering with college and career coaches, making sure students are getting on college campuses. Parents and students have access to technical assistance in completing like financial aid applications and admission applications. And then at the same time, making sure everything's student-centered, so that advisory piece, that student success team that's making sure that we're reviewing each student data to determine their strengths and weaknesses in order to develop an appropriate learning plan. Community is important, which starts with our parents. And so most Premier High Schools also have teacher organization in which parents can have a voice in the school, and also getting students involved in the community through partnering with other nonprofit organizations, partnering with community agencies, and also doing community service learning projects. And so we also like to think that we're connecting with other schools as we grow in communities. If you're familiar with our Little Rock campus, we're actually on the campus of Arkansas Baptist College. We've just recently signed a MOU with Little Rock Metro Center to offer even more CTE courses and industry-based certifications to our students. In Northwest Arkansas, we're working with institutions like NWTI, NWAC, as well as Arkansas Tech to provide students with additional course offerings as well. So just giving you a little bit on some of our history and some of the accomplishments we've seen. Premier High School, the original location in Little Rock, was recognized by the Charter School Office as best practice in personalized learning. We've had opportunity, a campus, to serve in the statewide pilot for the PLC project and continue to try to build that knowledge. We've had staff members that have been recognized by local entities for the work that they're doing in the school, and we've also seen success from our students as well. That success has come inside the classroom and outside the classroom. And then recently, we're excited about, we're working just recently with Springdale that opened this year with institutions like NWTI and offering our students an EAST program in partnership with them as well. So talking a little bit about Premier 2.0, one of the things we want to do is as we grow and as we continue to serve in communities is make sure that we're constantly have a continuous improvement culture in improving the model. And as the needs of society change, we're addressing those needs. And at the same time, improving overall student outcomes and the student experience. And so part of this enhancement is personalizing the live instruction for our students that are on-site and virtual. Also making sure that students have access to CTE programs that lead to industry-based certifications. Making sure students have access to post-secondary planning support and technical assistance. Also, students that deem they can meet the requirements also have access to concurrent credit opportunities. This past year, we've recently piloted this thing we call a mini messenger that gives students opportunity even in the summer to be able to recap from lost learning or be able to possibly get ahead. We're also piloting innovation hubs at each one of our campuses, which has emerging technology that students are engaging with to not only earn industry-based certifications, but also are learning to deal with hardware and software that's in the workplace today. We're providing after-school support for students that are engaged in learning because we do have a learning management system that students can access from home. And so we want students to be able to have assistance after hours. Also, partnering with other institutions. We think it's important because we are a high school and that we also partner with organizations in the community that are offering post-secondary opportunities for our students and exposing them to those students as well. And then partnering with agencies, I always brag on agencies like APSRC and partnering with them to engage in the resources that they have to be able to provide our staff and students with resources. So why Fort Smith? One of the things we want to do in Fort Smith is provide an alternate academic program to the community that really focuses on this disengaged group. We want to hopefully decrease the dropout rate, increase the graduation rate by putting more high school diplomas in Fort Smith community members' hands. Local community support is evident as we spend time in the community, as we talk to families about what are the needs of the community, what do you think about this type of school model? And then, as we stated, just to replicate some of the best practice in personalized learning in Arkansas to have more accessibility to other areas of the state. One of the things we've identified at Fort Smith is a large manufacturing community. As we meet with manufacturers and community leaders, we've seen that there's a trend of a lot of manufacturers that have jobs in the community that are vacant. As we talk to them, we're also hearing about the soft skills that students are missing as well. The community is rich in history and resources, and also getting public feedback. People are excited about Premier High School because it's flexible, because it's going out this specific group of students. And you even see I have a note here that in the city of Fort Smith, there are over 4,400 students that were in high school. And so when we talk about Premier High School at Fort Smith, we're really talking about that 2 to 3% of students that are disengaged, that are at risk of failing out of high school, or that already dropped out of high school. Also, the federal government has identified Fort Smith as an opportunity zone. There are several areas in the city, and so as we look at what opportunities in the area and what areas need to serve, this evidence also supported by the federal government as well. And so who would Premier High School at Fort Smith serve? Once again, students looking for a smaller learning environment, students that are at risk of dropping out of high school, have dropped out of high school, students that are working full time, students that are already parents, and then you have our delinquent and truant students. Some of the instructional strategies that we'll employ, students will be exposed to direct instruction, they have some independent instruction time. Students that qualify also have opportunity to engage in accelerated instruction, and then connected instruction where we're actually doing hands-on and live instruction with students as well. Some of the things we're going to try to help our staff, get them exposed to high quality professional development, make sure our leadership is participating in leadership institutes, making sure as the district staff, we're providing adequate support for our school as we continue to grow and as the student opens and starts up. And then one of the things we want to do is replicate some of the best practices. We've been blessed with the support of the state to be serving students going into our 9th year. So how do we look at some of our best practices in the schools that we have and continue to replicate that across our other schools? So looking at a day in the shoes of a Premier High School Fort Smith student, students engage in a character education program, students start setting goals for that day or that week, students check in with their personalized learning coach. They have opportunity to engage in live instruction, students have opportunity to engage in one-on-one and small group instruction, then they have time to also engage in independent instruction. All students have access to our Student Innovation Hub, which has that emerging technology where students can engage in those project-based learnings. And then we try to get students that start thinking towards those industry-based certifications. So if you're a student that has 1 or 2 credits, high school's probably not gonna take long for you to finish. How do we get you started working towards that industry-based certification? Some of the support services that we offer include your tutorial, college career coach, personalized learning coach. We talked about the after hours. One of the things we noticed as a trend of our students coming that have lost credit just due to not going to high school attendance. And then also having that dropout recovery outreach, in which we're partnering with people like the National Dropout Prevention Center with Clemson University. School also have a coordinator and provide special program services for our students, graduation advisory committee, and also having resources to support the overall operations of the school. One of the things we also provide parents. We want to provide parents with workshops, whether it's college career, whether it's having workshops about the model, having workshops about post-secondary readiness for our parents. This will tailor typically the needs of the community. And then also having representation, making sure parents have a voice in what we're doing, inviting parents up to the school to engage in decisions that affect directly the student body. One of the key features of the school, it'll offer these CTE certifications for students. Students will actually be engaged also in science labs. We have mobile science labs, project-based learning, and then you see some of the programs that we're looking to potentially partner with local individuals in the community to offer with students as well. Also talking about the character education. We want to bring in people in the Fort Smith community that are professionals that can talk to our students about, so what are some of the things that you overcome to get to your profession? What did it take to get where you are? Also getting students engaged in extracurricular activities, and as well as we want to recognize student success. We believe our small wins are important at Premier High School. And so how do we go above and beyond on over-serving our students? One of the things we're excited about is University of Arkansas Fort Smith in the community. It also offers CTE through PEAK and Fort Smith School District, as well as concurrent credit opportunities. We've reached out to those individuals to let's start planning and talking about what does this partnership look and sound like for Premier High School at Fort Smith. And then also, there's that niche and gap in the community of students that are leaving high school. So how are we addressing students that are becoming disengaged in the education process to fill that gap in the community? And then how are we even collaborating for individuals that have professional development in the community to serve all students? And what does that look and sound like? We've had several members with different people from the Juvenile Justice Department, different nonprofit organizations in the community, other charter schools about the needs of the community and how we all can work together to continue to serve students at Fort Smith. Some other individuals include parents and students from the Chamber of Commerce, business owners, as well as just current former students. You can kind of see Premier High School, we started this deal almost 9 years ago. We graduated 10 students. Last year, we were blessed to put over 50 high school diplomas in students' hands. And since we've existed here in Arkansas, we've put over 200 high school diplomas in high school students' hands. So we talk about Premier High School at Fort Smith. We like to think it's going to be a place where students matter the most. And as we grow and expand, we want to continue to be responsive to communities in Arkansas, and we're excited about serving the Fort Smith community.
Hang on just a minute, let me get the alarm shut off. All right, thank you so much. Ms. Hott, can we start with you on your legal review?
Most of the things that need to be addressed are really just cleanup for the record. So I have communicated back and forth with Responsive Ed. So just for the record, I would like to clarify a few things, but they have already agreed to them. Okay. First, on their class size and teaching load waiver, the standard should be 1A5, not 1A6. On their facilities waiver, they have added 616-105 and amended 621-117 to just sections 2 through 5.
Can we take those one at a time and let them
absolutely
confirm? That way I can flip pages faster and check them off.
Sure. If you Sure. So actually, I'll start from the beginning and just tell you there are no issues on their ALE waivers or their board of directors waivers. I would like to give them an opportunity to discuss their board meetings and how they publicize those, as that was a remaining legal concern that has since been addressed. So I'll let Mr. Felton come up and provide that information, or Mr. Gass.
So I will tell you that I served as a public school superintendent for a number of years and am also certified as a superintendent here in Arkansas. We follow the exact same format on our board meetings that I followed in the public schools. Our meetings are publicized on our website. The agendas are also published. All minutes are on the state required information on our websites. We also, because we're located in different areas of the state, we want to make sure that all parents that have students in our schools have the ability to view and participate if needed or if necessary in our board meetings. So the night of the board meeting, and we put this on our website as well, there is a room that is available at every campus where we staff an individual and we stream the meeting into that particular classroom. We do have a public comment portion of our agendas, and anybody from any one of those satellite sites, any parent can go ahead and step on and address the board, and there is two-way communication there with them, and it's live, and so it's real time. And so that they all have the opportunity to know when the board meetings are and to participate if they need be. Our meetings are all conducted now, of course. During the pandemic, we went through a time where the meetings were virtual and we had some people that were attending. All of our parents are welcome if they'd like to come to Little Rock. That's where our meetings are actually held. Our board members all come in. We have board members that represent each area of where our schools are located. And so we want to make sure that those particular parents and those particular groups are represented as well, on our school board. And so they are run just like any other public school meeting would be run. We do have a CMO that also has a board, and that is located in Louisville. The only thing that we don't vote on at our local board is we vote on all of the budgets are all approved, all of the expansion are approved, all of the audits, those types of things, all of that is approved at our local level as well as on the CMO level. As far as the actual purchasing of land and those types of things, that originates with our CMO in Louisville, but then it also is still approved with our local boards as well. So anything pretty much other than real estate that is voted on with our CMO is also covered and voted on and taken care of at our local level. Something that's not necessarily around with the board, but something that is always a concern to the charter panel, that is the financial stability of the charter going in. We are very pleased to let you know that over the last, I've been superintendent going on 4.5 years now, every school, every district in Arkansas that has undergone an audit, there's not been a single audit finding in any of our audits for our different particular campuses. And so we are very proud of the fact that we are very, very strong financially. We are also good stewards of the money that comes in, and do a really, really good job with making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. But our board meetings, again, are quite a reflection, an exact reflection of, if you were to look at our agendas, you would see that they pretty much mirror the type of agenda that you would see at a public school. We have public comment, we've got consent items, we have separate action items, we have voting records, we have all the different things that you would find at a local board, so that everything is very, very transparent.
Just as a point of clarification, you mentioned your CMO, and in the beginning of your application, you listed Responsive Ed as your CMO, and on page 39, you listed Blue Learning.
Yeah.
So who is the CMO?
Well, the CMO is in Louisville. Blue Learning is part of the organization that handles a lot of the real estate and also handles the curriculum and those types of things. And so the CMO is out of Louisville, but then there's a subsection of the CMO called Blue Learning that handles the leases and those types of things. And so those are both listed for transparency's sake.
But Responsive Ed is...
Responsive Ed is the CMO, that is the board. Blue Learning does not have its own individual board. It's the local board from the Louisville CMO in Texas.
Thank you.
Other board-related questions that I might be able to help with? All right. I will turn it back over to you.
There were no issues on their waiver of business manager. Their was just one little for the record on class size and teaching load. There was a typo in the standard. It should be 1A5, not 1A6.
Do we need confirmation of that, or have they already confirmed that?
They've confirmed it with me, but because any last minute corrections don't get uploaded to the agenda in an effort to make sure that the record is exceptionally clear, I just wanted to note it. No issues on their curriculum, grading, and credit hours waivers. On their facilities waivers, they need to add 616-105, which they have agreed to add. And 621-117 has been amended to just include sections 2 through 5. No issues on flexible scheduling, gifted and talented, non-instructional duties. On personnel policies, and this is something you'll see in the other applications too, there's a set of rules governing requirements for personnel policies, salary schedules, and documents to be posted to the website. Those rules were rescinded or repealed and have been replaced with a new set of rules, the rules governing documents required to be posted to district websites. So the sections have changed under the new rules, so this will be sections 5.01.4 and 6.01. They have agreed to those changes, and then a few code sections were left off, being 617, 203, 205, 208, and 209.
So to translate what you just said, we are meeting the website checklist, or there have waivers from some of the items on the website checklist?
They will have a waiver of posting their salary schedules and of having the salary schedules as part of their personnel policies. They will have personnel policies that will be posted to the website that just will not include salary schedules.
Mr. Walter, do you want to add something to that?
Just if the panel needed clarification,
I think Ms. Hyde's got it.
Do we need to get an interpreter in here?
That's why we have you.
There are no issues on their salary waivers, their principal licensure waivers. I did want to point out on their student services waivers that they have requested a waiver of having a licensed guidance counselor. That is the limitation of their waiver. There are 2 waivers on here, 2D1, which deals with library media, and 3D1 that they have rescinded. So those will not be part of their final waivers.
Which is the...
So 2D1 is you must maintain an appropriate balance of print, non-print, and electronic media. They have rescinded that. And 3D1, I can't remember the wording right off the top of my head, but I'll pull it up.
Hang on. Food services.
Food services, yeah. Thank you. So that is just they must provide food services in accordance with federal and state law. I believe that was just accidentally included in their application. They did not intend to waive that. So they have rescinded both the appropriate balance of print, non-print, and electronic media, and the food services waiver.
So on the guidance counselor, so they're waiving having a licensed guidance counselor, but they're still providing the full counseling program?
Yes, the only piece that they are requesting a waiver from is licensure. So they must still meet all of the requirements of the School Counseling Improvement Act of 2019, having a comprehensive school counseling plan, having a counselor that spends 90% of their time engaged in direct student services and 10% in indirect student services. They're just waiving the requirement that that person hold a license. There were no issues with their superintendent waiver. On their educator licensure waivers, again, just a little bit of cleanup. It should be standard 4F1, which deals with library media licensure, not 4F2. And it should just be section 7 of the rules governing educator licensure. They have agreed to those changes. So just to clear that up for the record. And there are no issues on their transportation waiver. There were no remaining legal issues outside of the waivers. So unless there are any questions on the waivers, I have nothing additional.
On the website reporting, we'll assume that I will see a calendar. That was a little unclear when I read through there.
A school calendar?
A school calendar.
Yes.
Okay.
They have not waived the requirement to have a school calendar or to post the school calendar.
All right, any other concerns? Then, Dr. Williams, we'll start with your questions.
Yes, thank you. I just noticed that in the application that your enrollment cap is, I wrote it down here, I believe 300, and you're looking to maintain that over the 5 years that you're requesting this. Is that correct? You don't foresee any increase in that over the 5 years?
That is correct. The model is small by design. The trend we've seen here in the past 9 years is typically we're serviced between 130, 140 students. But we do know as we go in different communities, the needs do change. And so instead of me coming to the panel saying 100 students and then we open the school and the community says it's different, that gives us a little bit more cushion.
Okay, thank you.
McMurray?
Thank you for your presentation and sharing information about your plans to implement this charter in Fort Smith. Just wanted to get a little bit more detail on some of the industry certifications that were mentioned in the application and the preparation that's provided to the students to be able to obtain those, and what are we seeing on the outcomes, what they are obtaining.
So what we've seen a trend of is student engagement, like your health profession. So your certified nurse assistant. We've also seen students get into some of the manufacturer certifications. So your OSHA 10, your OSHA 30. Also, since we've gained more partnerships, we all offer able to offer students like welding and dental assistant and things of that nature. So we anticipate at the campus level using the curriculum that we have for some of our prerequisite CTE courses, for instance, like health, and then also as we get into those industry-based certifications, tracking the results of that as well. One of the cool things about it is, like in Fort Smith, they have the Peak Center that's going to open up, and the Peak Center, Gary that's running it, is anticipating partnering with over 20 high schools. And so how we look at it is we're ultimately preparing students on our campus, and then as they start working towards finishing those graduation requirements, then we also start working towards those post-secondary certifications. And then we'll have some students that are not interested in certification. They'll be really interested in, okay, how do I prepare for college? And so can I get engaged in some ACT prep courses, things of that nature.
And I just wanted to add, from a district standpoint, is our commitment to making sure that we develop these strong partners is our hiring of a new CTE director for the district, who's one of their main, one of Mr. Duvall's main goals is to work on establishing these CTE partnerships so that we can continue to expand and increase the number of certifications that will be available for our students in Premier. So to us, that was actually hiring someone whose specific goal and responsibility is to really look at our CTE program and to strengthen it. What was a big deal. Not to mention Mr. Duvall also came out of our North Little Rock Premier. He was an instructor there and was really, really strong on concentrating on helping these students with their certifications with CTE. And we saw the need to be able to make his services available all across the state for our premier campuses. And so with his commitment and some of the things that Mr. Felton has alluded to that also Mr. Duvall has already put together are really strengthening our CTE. And I think that'll be a huge benefit to the communities as we're able to graduate kids and with a great deal of training and some certificates which can get them quickly involved in a workforce that, one, without a high school diploma they couldn't, and two, without that certification they would have been behind in being able to start their careers.
So I'm just trying to make sure I understand. So you'll be partnering with like Peak and NTI and places like that to be able to provide the instruction?
That is correct.
But there will not be, like Premier will not be providing the instruction?
That is correct. As far as the industry-based certifications,
okay.
We be prereqs on our campus.
Okay.
Ms. Saraceni?
So I'm understanding you that the CTE courses will not be taught on campus. You will partner to provide those to students.
So the prerequisite CTE courses will be taught on campus. I was really talking about the industry-based certifications. Most of that equipment, the curriculum supplies are on our partner's campus.
Dr. Flowers?
Yes, thank you again for your presentation. You mentioned several resources under the support services section of your presentation. Can you talk a bit about how you support the needs of students via counseling services?
Say it one more time.
Counseling services. Within your presentation, you talked about resources in regards to supporting services.
So what we do is we usually partner with mental health organizations in the community, not only to provide our staff with professional development training, but as a resource where we can reference students as well and have a more professional guidance and insight. We also, not that like we're practicing mental health on campus, but it's part of kind of our social emotional learning. We're excited. We're partnering with the Flipping Group. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Capturing Kids' Heart. Really good curriculum and really just tapping into students. And it's not, like I said, not practicing mental health, but it's really tapping into the overall student, being able to build relationships and be able to hopefully build some character in students into moral and values to make good choices and be able to have additional support on campus.
Mr. Baldwin?
The educational model that you all will use for this location is the same as your other
That is
locations?
correct. It'll be a personalized learning model. We're just replicating what we've been doing for 9 years here.
Okay. And the cap at the other locations, is it also 300 students?
Yeah, I think the only one that's not 300 is the original location in Little Rock. I think it may be 250. But Little Rock and Springdale, 300.
Okay. And I know you haven't identified a location yet, but you'll do that between now and...
Yeah. I think of it yesterday, right? I can go sign a lease, but we're actively looking in the community. We're highly interested in North Side town. That's where the opportunity data is showing us the opportunity zone.
Okay. So you're the state director,
That is correct.
and then you mentioned in your application a regional director. So I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, that with 4 campuses, each one pays a portion of your salary? Is that kind of how that works?
Yeah, we're trying to get there, yeah. I mean, we're just started growing, but eventually we want to be there. Where as a state director or regional director, that's the same person, me.
Okay.
We are splitting those services.
Sometimes it called it the regional director, sometimes it called it the state director, so I was confused there. So in your past experiences with your other 3 campuses, you have a separate LEA number for each campus?
That is correct.
And is that going to be your request for this campus?
That is correct.
Okay. And in your other campuses, you, because you meet the ALE requirement, you have been exempt from school ratings. Is that your request again?
That is correct.
My last question is about on-time reports. As you know, my office is very responsive to meeting deadlines. So who is the contact person to ensure all reports are on time?
Curtis Shack.
Okay. I think that answers all of my questions. Ms. Wright McMurray?
So just wanted to circle back around
That's
to
okay.
my first line of questions. So you said, so after Ms. Saraceni asked a question, I had another question. So the prerequisites for the CTE courses are taught on your campus?
Yes, some of those are. And so we have courses, like I think about like child development, parenting course, medical terminology, health, human anatomy, physiology. Just think about some of those prerequisites that some of the students need before they actually get engaged. And some of them don't require any prerequisites. So in particular, like a student that was interested in being a certified nurse assistant, is not necessarily a prerequisite, but we want that student to start taking some of those courses in their 9th to 10th grade year to see if they really even like the career. So getting exposed to some of that content.
And, sorry, just trying to get understand. So the personnel on the campus that's responsible for teaching the prerequisites are which instructors or which teachers?
So there are teachers that we have staff, and so they're teaching those courses as well.
In addition to like other courses, so.
Yes,
like
and then we have partners
like,
like Virtual Arkansas.
like
They-
medical terminology, who would be teaching that type of course?
Our science teacher.
Okay.
And then sometimes we have, I'm not gonna say sometimes, but we have partnership with Virtual Arkansas, so they're providing the teachers for those courses.
And just a question. So just from so let's say your science teacher is teaching medical terminology, but there's waivers in place for them to teach the medical terminology course? Or-
Yes.
Okay.
All of our teachers meet the highly qualified teacher status for those courses. We don't have anybody teaching out of assignment.
So part of the teacher licensure waivers is a waiver to allow licensed teachers to teach outside of their licensure area. So if you had a licensed science teacher, they could teach outside of that licensure area, and also to allow them to hire teachers that meet the Arkansas Qualified Teaching Standards but don't necessarily have it licensed to teach courses. So they're covered, whether it's a licensed person teaching outside of their area or an unlicensed person, they have the necessary waivers.
Ms. Saraceni?
Help with that answer.
Okay.
They have 3 out of 12 licensed on one campus here and 4 out of 7 according to my records, which I'm licensure.
Okay.
So it's a varied, I'm a data person.
I just asked, when you said medical terminology, I know that we've just had thoughts and discussions about, that's, even though it falls in the field of like the science courses, it's a very distinct understanding of that subject matter to be able to instruct. So that's why I was just asking that question on who exactly would be teaching those types of courses to make sure students have the appropriate foundation to go into those program study or pathways that would need to have that information.
Thanks.
Ms. Saraceni, any additional questions? Dr. Williams, any additional questions? Dr. Flowers? Mr. Baldwin? Just for the record, you will be using eSchool, eFinance, and submitting
is
all
correct.
SIS cycle reports on time?
That is correct.
All
Right,
right.
Curtis?
Just makes my life easier if you do that. All right, then, hearing no additional questions or comments, I'll accept a motion. And let me just back up and say, as a new charter, this would be for 5 years. Anyone have a motion for me? I have a motion by Ms. Wright McMurray and a second by Ms. Saraceni to approve the Premier High School of Fort Smith charter application for 5 years. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank y'all.
If you will give us just a moment and let each panel member enter their comments. Dr. Flowers? Okay. Ms. Wright McMurray?
I support the charter application. This will provide additional opportunities for students in the Fort Smith area. I appreciate the applicant's attention to career technical education.
Mr. Baldwin?
Yes, I vote to approve the application. Premier brings a proven and quality educational program to Fort Smith.
Ms. Saraceni?
I support the expansion into the Fort Smith area. It will give students in that area the opportunity to complete high school in a proven program.
Dr. Williams?
Support the motion. Premier will create additional opportunities for students to complete their diploma, high school diploma, and receive CTE training in the Fort Smith area.
All right, thank you very much, and congratulations to your new charter. Mr. Johnston, do we have any remaining issues before adjournment today?
No, ma'am.
And we will start at 9 a.m. tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, then I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.